great conversations at Washington State University. My name is Marc Robinson, and I am the director of the Culture and Heritage Houses. And I'm here today in Casa, Latina with Sharrone Navas, who is joining us as an expert in education and public service around in Olympia and in Washington. Welcome to Washington State University.
Thank you.
Thank you.
It's good to be here.
Great. We're happy to have you. Absolutely.
Thank you.
Currently, you serve on the Washington State Educational Opportunity Gap and Oversight Accountability Committee, and you previously served.
It's a mouthful.
Yeah, I know. It's a lot. And you previously served on the Commission on Hispanic Affairs for our state as well. Can you talk about your work on both commissions?
Sure. The Commission on Hispanic Affairs is a statewide organization that looks at how policies are being implemented, and we are the linchpin between decision makers in Olympia, policymakers, and the on-the-ground work that's actually happening for our specific Latino communities throughout the state. So there are currently 12 commissioners on board, and they all have expertise in certain target areas: education, healthcare, immigration reform, economic development, higher ed, early learning, anything that really affects our immigrant and Latino population. We try to fill in the gaps so that we can have informed conversations with our legislators.
Great.
And on the Opportunity Oversight and Achievement Committee, the committee is comprised of 2 members of each ethnic community, including the Governor's Office of Indian American Affairs, and we are the oversight organization for the state on the working of closing the opportunity gap for all our children.
Great. I wonder, can you talk to us a little bit about the nature of educational opportunity gaps in Washington, and just kind of what are you seeing from the kind of statewide picture?
Sure. There's actually a really intensive call to close the opportunity gap now. It's become an urgent issue, not just for people that are in education, but for our families, our children, and more specifically our legislators. They are no longer, the sense that I'm getting is that they're no longer okay with the opportunity gap taking 3 or 4 decades to close. They now want immediate solutions to this problem that's been plaguing our kids.
Wow, so you're seeing that from state leaders.
It's actually great to hear a lot of our state legislators and the superintendent of the Office of Superintendent for Public Instruction really talk about closing the opportunity gap in years as opposed to decades.
That's good. That's good to hear.
It's refreshing.
Yeah. Well, I know that you, like your work on the commission, I'm imagining that you were served on there as an expert in education in particular.
Mm-hmm.
It looks like you currently serve as the executive director for the Equity and Education Coalition.
Yes.
And it sounds like that's just a recent, just a more recent example of a long career of work in this area. So I wanted to maybe talk about how you got started in this area.
Sure.
And kind of what motivates your passion for education.
The Equity and Education Coalition is 14 months old. We started in August of last year. We started from several members of different communities of color getting together to really talk about not just the educational opportunity gap, but also to have a face to all the basic needs that our families have in an effort to ensure that those basic needs are not cut to fund our educational system. And as we started the conversation around the basic needs of our families and how fulfilling those basic needs like safe housing, good health care, living wages, how all of that positively impacts education for our children, we became somewhat painfully aware that there was no other organization of communities of color talking about the issues of communities of color, specifically to legislators, school districts, and teachers on the ground. So we've grown to about 65 different coalition members, all either members of communities of color or allies, who really understand that education is not a silo. It is a part of the everyday basic needs of not only our families, but our children.
Wow. That sounds really groundbreaking, right? I mean, there isn't any other organization who's making these kinds of connections.
Not specifically for our families.
Yeah.
So it's been great to come to places like WSU and talk to our teachers and our soon-to-be educators and really have them understand how important it is to see culture as an asset. And how important it is to have these conversations around culture, race, and equitable practices, not just in the classroom, but also at the school district level, and really empower the teachers that are coming out to have those courageous conversations.
Wow. Well, that brings me to my next question, which is about your time here at WSU today, right? You've been at Washington State University and getting a chance to meet with some of our faculty and students and staff. I wonder kind of how has that conversation gone as you've seen, and what's your interaction been like here on campus?
My time here has been fantastic. I was not expecting the warmth of everybody that I've met. I was not expecting such a small little town to be so full of vibrant college members and faculty. It's been fantastic, and the questions that I've gotten they've been insightful, they've been curious, they've been it feels like it was a conversation that needed to be had, and I was so proud of the people that I've met who have been able to have these conversations with me and ask these questions, because it's not easy.
Yeah, we probably should give recognition to Lynn Brissett, who is one of our esteemed graduate students, who is a big part of bringing.
Lynn has been amazing.
Yeah. So shout out to Lynn out there. Well, we kind of bring this to a close, I wonder if you could reflect on your various work and thinking about your conversations today, if there was kind of one kind of take-home message or a key fact or insight that you'd want sort of a general audience to know, what would that be in terms of education and communities of color, and maybe the ways in which it's not in a silo, as you said?
I think that the one undercurrent in all the conversations that I've had today has been high expectations. We have high expectations of our teacher prep programs and those that are part of it. We have high expectations of the teachers that are in those programs, but we also need to have high expectations of our school buildings, our kids, our parents, and that those high expectations don't end when the school day ends. It's a new culture that we have to start embracing, of really, there's really not a child that can't do well. It's just the child that is expected to do well, and giving them and the teachers and the parents the tools that they need to ensure that they can do the best that they can and expect the best from them.
Well said. Well, thank you for your time here at WSU, for coming all the way to the east side of the state, and for all your great work that you're doing.
Thank you.
For our
So
state. Thank you.
Thank you.